Welcome back to your D121 computer graphics, to part 2 of our 10 Honda Trail, and we're doing this at home and we're using Figma, and it's the same thing we did in Illustrator, but we're exploring doing it in Figma, seeing what we can do, what works well, what doesn't work well, what's harder to do if we had to do a flyer like this. And again, you don't always have to make hills and use wrinkle tools and all that kind of stuff, but it's nice to see some of the pros and cons of what we're doing. And again, Figma is not designed to do straight vector artwork. It has a lot of nice vector tools, but it's designed to make web pages. So, we're kind of using it here, not really for its strength, but we're still able to get a nice flyer started so far. We could trace bats, we can put paths in there. It just takes a little more manual work, at least so far. And we do have plugins to use some tracing things. So let me just throw in just a couple things here. I'll bring this in WCCCs. I'll bring that in there. Now, when I bring this in here right now, I can't see it. You might be like, why? And it's because all this stuff is in front. So make sure that the gradient background, all this text should be above it. So I made all this stuff here. So I'm going to move up WCCCs to the top. I'm going to move Honda Trail right underneath it. I'm going to put the date right underneath that. And make sure you keep everything indented here like that. Don't put everything out or anything above letter or you won't see it. And I'll put the Honda Woods, I'll put that right under there, and I'll put free admission right here. And then we have all our graphics. Now, we're not creating separate folders or anything like that. So there's my WCCC, and I'll zoom in here so I can see it a little bit better. There it is. It's 20 point inter right now, and I might just leave it like that for now. And I'll bring in Honda Trail, and to make this bigger, if you use the scale tool, if you go here and then you just kind of grab on it, it'll make it nice and big. So I'll do Honda Trail like that. Actually, I'm going to click on this, hold shift, that. I'm going to make everything Roboto. I like Roboto. You can use Roboto. You can change it to something else. So let me type in Roboto, and I'll do Roboto right now. I'll make everything Roboto. This one, I'll make Roboto, and I'll make it Roboto condensed, and then I think they have a black, and I'll make it real big. So there's no, they don't. Let me see, Roboto. I'll go in regular Roboto, and they have a black condensed here, extra bold condensed. They have a condensed that's not even part of their condensed family, so I'll use it in here. So that's nice. And then if I use the scale tool, I'll go and make it a little bit bigger. I even might want to tighten up the lettering just slightly. And I could do this over here, this little thing over here, letter spacing, tighten it up, just move it to the left, hover over the icon, and I'm doing it at like looks like -3%. Maybe if I put it at like -4 or 5, it looks pretty good. I think 4 is good. So that way I can make it a little bit bigger. And this thing should probably be bigger. Everything should probably be, maybe like 24 or something like that. All this stuff in here. So I'll bring this stuff in here, and just like we did it before. And I'll click on that, and I'm holding shift. Click on that, and maybe make that 24. And you can make it all bold, I guess. There's no reason not to have it bold. Now, I usually say don't make everything bold. But, we're in front of a gradient. We're going to have zombies and all kinds of stuff. So we want it to look nice and clean and easy to read. So I can make it bold, I guess. We're not really having a hierarchy set up here. So, we could do that. Now, you could set these things up with different strokes and stuff like that. I think you can put them underneath over here. It should be easier to do than the appearance palette, but let's just try something with here. Now, again, you could use a creepster font, something like that, but let's just try to use something like that. Now we're not going to use, roughen or anything like that, any kind of filter like that. We'll just kind of use this text and have it be nice and clean. And if you needed a rough looking font, if you go to Google Fonts, if you go search Google Fonts, just show this quickly, and just go to About, that's what comes up. But just go to Google Fonts here, close this up. And if you look at categories and look at display, turn off all the other ones and just look at display, you'll find some cool things. There's like Creepster, there's all different kinds of things. You might find some really kind of unique fonts that are rough looking fonts. Here's Creepster. There's a lot here that you could use that might look very Halloweenish. Bangers might look very Halloweenish. If you put something in Bangers, just for example, if I went up here and took it out of this and put it in Bangers, let me click on this again. I'll change this to Bangers. And that looks pretty good. I don't need the letter spacing that tight, so I could go back and fix that and put it back the way it was. Even spread it out a little, so I could do something like that. I'll try doing that, and Creepster might be cool too. Now, if I wanted to arch it, how can I arch it? Now, you don't have to arch it, but if I wanted to put a little arch on it, watch this. I'm going to go here to Plugins, and I'm going to go to Warp It. And I have this selected. Now, it's a little hokey, but if you go to Settings down here, and I'm going to put a couple points on here. I'll go to this one here, and I'll just arch it a little bit. You could even go all the way over. Now, interpolation, I haven't seen what it does too much. And I'll just kind of close that up. That way you could kind of bring this up a little bit and do this kind of thing. Now, it's not meant to be really perfect, but you know, you could even arch this up a little bit. Now, it'll turn it into vector, so if you're going to change the font, be aware of that. And it's kind of neat. You could bend them around and do some cool things, but it's not bad. But it will turn it into vector. It'll flatten it. It'll no longer be text. So I'll apply results and hit the X here, and I think it might make a copy. Let me see. Does it? Sometimes it makes a copy and it groups it or something, but that works okay. Now, let's see how this works to put some strokes on it. The other one we had with purple, then we had white, and then we had black. Let's see if we could do that. Let's just go here and change my fill to purple. Here's purple down here, and I'll make it kind of a dark purple like that. And that looks okay. And let me see if I can add a stroke of white. I'll make it white. And I'll make it bigger. Now you can see that's going inside, but I want it on the outside. Do I have an option to do that? Let's go to the little dots here. And they have it, I think they have it where you could put it on the outside, unless I'm missing it here. Oh, right here. I don't even have to go in there, right here. Let's make it on the outside. And that looks pretty cool, actually. And then I'll add another one. And this one, it's 20% black. Now, I don't know why it's 20%, and I'll put it up to 100. I'll make it black, and I'll put it behind. I think I can grab this and hopefully move this behind. And now the black's behind it, and then I'm going to make this thicker. While this one's selected, make it thicker. Sure what's happening here. There's the white one. Let me turn that off. There's the black one. And looks like it's not, it looks like it's letting me use multiple strokes, but it's not letting me make them individual. Like whatever I change here on the black one is 11. I put that on the inside, I go on this one, and it's on the inside. So it's not letting me do these differently here. I really thought that would be cool to do, but it's not. So unless I'm missing something here, unless there's some way to make them individually here, stroke style. I mean, I would think you'd be able to put different strokes here, but that's disappointing that I can't put multiple strokes. I can put multiple strokes. Let me put this on again, but it's only letting me do one. Even though I do, why would they let you do multiple strokes if they have to be the same thickness? So I may be missing something there. I'll look up and see if there's something I could do for that. But what I could do here, even without putting multiple strokes, which hopefully I can do, I'll go here and I'll add an effect for drop shadow. And I'll go into the drop shadow settings and I'll make it blur a little bit more, maybe 5. I'll go to my X and I'll increase that a little. It's going, I'll go over 4 and down 4. I don't want a lot. And then as far as this percentage here, I'll make this, I think I could go here, hover in between, or I'll just highlight here and put it like 60 or something and do something like that. So that looks good. Unfortunately, I can't do the multiple strokes. Now you could certainly put white strokes on these, which I'll do next. And you can certainly bring in your bat and do multiple bats. I don't even have to do that. One other thing I'll show you, because I don't want this video to be really long and I don't want you to follow everything I do, but put white strokes on these things and make sure they're on the outside and make sure you make it look nice. But if you wanted to bring in something like a zombie, so let me go here and just find a zombie again. And I'll do zombie silhouette. I'm saying that so you know how to spell it. Silhouette. There it is, zombie silhouette. If you want a zombie, you could have anything. You don't have to have zombies. And I'll go to images. And I'll just find any kind of zombie here. And I'll try to keep it somewhat simple. I don't want to go crazy with them. Here's one, here's one. I'll put this at the bottom. I'll go here, and I'll just right click and copy image. And this one has a kind of a checkerboard background. I'm not sure if that's going to be an issue, but I'll go in here and I'll just go off to the side and I'll just paste it. And let's see how this tracing thing works. Here it is, and I'm going to go to plugins and I'll go to image tracer. And it looks pretty good. And it'll say place traced vector. And there it is. And there it is. So there's my vector. This thing I could get rid of. And now I have a vector art. I could change colors. I could make it purple. If I wanted to go here and, make it purple or, a really dark purple, something, green, whatever. Now I have some vectors I could create in here. So that's pretty good. That's cool that I can do that. And trace vector. I don't get that border thing unless it's trying to do like web-based borders and you can't do multiple borders. Again, somebody asked if you could do like in between the hills here, and you can. You just have to take this image trace and I'll just call it zombie. I'll double click on it, call it zombie. And if I put the zombie in between the hills, you could have him standing in between the hills, and that's kind of cool. And you could put the bats in here. You could put different things in here. So that's how that image tracer works. So again, just to review that, if you wanted a tree, a creepy tree, I'll leave silhouette here. I seem to do better when I have silhouette in there. Creepy tree silhouette. And I'll find a creepy tree. This looks creepy. And it's simple. So I'm trying not to find something that's really detailed, because I don't know, something like this. I don't know how it's going to do with that. But let me copy this, copy image. I'll go back here, and I'll go off to the side, zoom out a little, and I'll just paste. And now be careful, because what happened right here is it pasted the tree into zombie. So make sure nothing's selected. I'm going to undo that. So it'll try to paste into. So click off. Now let me do that again. Now I'll paste. Now there it is. And it's huge. So I'll make it smaller, and I'll just move it over here. Now I could have done that with the bat too, I guess, although I had it gray. And then again, I'll use plugins, image tracer, and it does a pretty good job. And I'll just hit placed vector. Now it does have options here for different stuff here, which you can invert, all kinds of stuff, show points, all that kind of stuff. But I'll just put placed vector, and I think it did a pretty good job. Let me move it. Let me delete the other one, and now I have a creepy tree. It looks a little rough. Actually, I kind of like it rough like that. And I'll scale the whole thing down. And now I have a creepy tree in there. Let me zoom up and put my creepy tree over here. I'll zoom in a little bit. There's a creepy tree. I'll make it go off to the side. Now, if you wanted to crop this thing, you could go here and just make a box and cut off the creepy tree. Now, keep in mind, it may be permanent. I think in here they give you a step before it's permanent, but that way I have a rectangle, and I'll hold shift, I'll click on the tree, and I'll use subtract. And now I have a cropped tree. And actually, the subtract thing, they keep it like this. You'll still have your tree in there, so it's not permanent. But let me put it in here. I'll put it above my front hill in there. So there it is. And it's cropped, and you could change the cropping if you need to. You could go in there and move the rectangle. Like, let's say you wanted the tree in a little, and you're like, oh, I cropped it there. I think you could click on the rectangle and kind of move it over, and now you've adjusted the crop. And then whenever you're done, if you're like, oh, I'm done with it, you could go here and do flatten image, and then it'll just be a subtract with nothing inside, and then you could rename it and call it tree. I mean, you could even call it tree now. Creepy tree or something like that. So I'm not going to go over everything, because you know how to do some of this stuff. That's pretty easy to do. You could bring in some cool stuff. You could experiment with this. You could put some outlines on here, put some bats up here, you could put an owl up here, you could put a moon. You could just do 2 circles and make that weird moon thing. So just want you to explore a little bit, and I will find out why we can't put multiple strokes on here. Maybe we can't, but I'll find that out. I think that's one thing I wanted to find out. And I'll also try to find out if we can make freehand shapes that close automatically, so we could give them fills and then do other stuff with them. So I'll do that too, but in the meantime, I'll make another video when I find that stuff out. But in the meantime, get started with this. This should be fine. So if you just do a stroke and do a drop shadow, you could mess around with Creepster font. You don't have to use a warp if you don't want to. Just find a cool font, because we have so many cool fonts in Google Fonts, probably more than we'd have working in Illustrator without downloading any new one. So work on that a little bit, get your bat in there, get some other cool stuff in there, and make it look nice and cool. And then when you're done, and after you watch any videos where I show you about strokes, remember when you're done, and you don't even have to save, you could just share this and copy link, just like we've been doing, and then go back to coursework. And then when it's time to turn it in, before Thursday, just click on here and go to add comment and add a link, and you're going to paste your link here, and you're going to make this open in a new window. So that's all you have to do for your assignment for Tuesday, is just kind of recreate that and explore a little bit, and we'll find out any new things we can about Figma as we work. So hopefully that'll be kind of, interesting to do, something different. And then we're going to be starting on that wine bottle thing, which is pretty cool, because we'll do some design work on our logos on our wine bottle. We'll do a lot of cool gradients to make the wine bottle look realistic. But I just wanted you to explore this a little bit, just to see what's available in Figma, what you can do, what you can't do, and also just to give you probably more practice with it as well, more design practice as well. So make sure you do that before Thursday, or if you don't, then do it at some point, since you can do it at home. So I'll talk to you soon.